Hello, everybody. This is Crystal Jerez with the True Peak Hour.
And this is Jennifer Ortiz.
And we are back with episode 2 of season 2. Thank you for your patience while we got this one rolling. We got some new equipment, so we were waiting on it, and we wanted to use our new equipment. So thank you for waiting. Before we dive into today's topics, let's, catch up. What's up?
What's up?
What's new?
Just been working Monday to Friday on my new job.
Ooh, that's fancy.
Yeah, I got hired at a studio, so on staff engineer.
We love that.
From freelance to staff engineer, back to freelance, back to staff engineer. Just, dipping my toes like
in everything.
In and out,
yeah. I like it. We're going to have a topic on that, or an episode on that, on moving from like freelance to staff to freelance and just adjusting with all that. So stay tuned for that. But today's topic is, in honor of Women's History Month. And this is crazy because we actually haven't had a full episode dedicated to being a woman in the music industry or being non-binary, gender expansive, For those of us that aren't featured as much in the industry, we wanted to just talk about some of the things that you could do to help include us more. So we want to talk about inclusivity and just helping diversifying the overall scene. So with that being said, I would say if you are someone that wants to help include more individuals in the industry, I think it's important to create a safe space. Right. So we're going to start off talking about that and what it means to create a safe space.
But my first experiences with being in a safe space, I just want to say it was like coming out of college. One of my first ever recording studio internships, who I then got hired, was at a recording studio in Orange County. And the studio owner, she was a female engineer, and she owned her own studio, and it was like just jazz and classical music. And she was like a mentor to me, so I learned a lot, and it was just a very safe space where I can get there super early or leave super late, and I feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And then I decided to go on freelance, and that's when I kind of felt the hit of oh, I'm a female, I'm in this industry dominated by males. So yeah, having a creative space can really put you in a good comfort zone to learn as much as possible.
Yeah. So what we mean by safe space is it doesn't have to be that the studio is all women, right? Or all people that are open to diversifying the space. But what it means is including individuals that aren't going to make uncomfortable comments. So if on your staff you have a guy that just makes these comments that are not okay, maybe you shouldn't have them on your staff anymore.
Right.
And I say that from experience. I've dealt with that's just Matt. No, we shouldn't just excuse it, because that's going to make someone uncomfortable. That's going to make women feel like they can't be a part of the space, and they're going to feel uncomfortable and not want to work those late sessions, right. Not want to be alone in the room with certain other engineers or, techs or whatever their role is in the studio. So if you excuse that, then you're already not creating a safe space.
Right.
So that's take a look at who you're surrounding your staff with. It could also include clients. Maybe you have certain clients that also make people uncomfortable. I've dealt with many clients that just towed the line, and it was unfortunate because it's something I just dealt with.
Yeah.
But as maybe the studio manager or maybe a higher up engineer, you could step in and be, hey, that's not okay. Please don't talk to my assistant like that. Please don't talk to my intern like that. Yeah. Please don't talk to the receptionist like that. Don't just let it be. So that's what we mean by creating a safe space. Uncomfortable comments are not the only thing that contribute to uncomfortable things. It could also be something as simple as like keeping like tampons in the bathroom. Like seriously, it's like little things like that like help us feel more comfortable and more welcome in the studio. I remember I was once recording like super heavy metal session, like guitars, drums, like screaming. It was great. I loved it. And I fucking needed a tampon, and there was no tampons in the studio, and I had to ask one of the runners, and they're just like, well, I don't know what I'm shopping for.
Wow.
And I was like, I can't step out of my session right now to go get that because, Mother Nature just wanted to ruin my day, you know? So it's just like, if you help us engineers do that. I know Simone Torres even made like a whole reel about it. Like,
for real?
She was just like, I've noticed that I went to a studio and they had that and it made me feel more comfortable. And it does. It's like, it's just little things like that. So just take a look. Like, what would you do to help include maybe your mother or your sister or your, like, what would you do to help them feel more comfortable in the studio? And maybe you can start doing things like that. What about you? I just kind of went on like long rants.
I know like some studio worry about how it smells and like they buy candles and like the lighting, all that stuff. But your clients are not only like dudes, there's a lot of like different types of people who come in. And like you said, having tampons in the studio, having even sanitizer or wipes, just things that can make people feel comfortable. And just for females, I guess just also including more females in the room.
Yeah, absolutely. That's like as number one.
Whether it's an engineer, an assistant, a runner. I've always had like a comment when I'm in the studio as an engineer or an assistant. Maybe the female artist I probably had the same situation where they needed a tampon and stuff. They weren't going to ask a dude, so she asked me, and I had some in my bag. So I was like, yeah, here you go. She was very comfortable to just ask me that. So I think it's very important to, like, have female engineers. When I talk to, like, A&Rs, I always ask them, like, hey, if you have any female artists, lock me with them, I'll engineer those sessions, and they feel way more better like that, and it gives, I guess, in the A&R, it gives them a star based on like, oh, you care about me, so you're gonna put me in with a female engineer. That's pretty dope. Just basically just feel very, very comfortable to sing your heart out,
Yeah, some of the best sessions I've done were the ones where unplanned, but it just happened to be like an entire room of women, and it was just such good energy, and the type of music that was made, because you're just more vulnerable, you're more open, you're more comfortable, the creativity just flows right through you, and it just those are some of my favorite sessions of all time. Something you just touched on was it matters just having another woman in the room, so outreach. Let's say you're hiring your studio manager, or you are a mixing engineer and you're looking for an assistant, or you're looking for interns for your studio. Do your part as well to reach out to organizations. So there's many job boards that highlight just women. Go on there and start finding people. Do your part. So it's not just something that's passive.
Yeah.
I am lucky enough to have been like reached out to on those job boards, and it's been great. Like, it shows me that they care to make sure to include women on their project, on their mixing team. So I think outreach is important. You can't just say you care, but actually not do anything about it. Mm-hmm. You have to go and seek some people, because we don't have the same opportunities a lot of the time, or we think we don't, because we might not see you surrounded in the studio with women. So maybe we think, you're not open to it, or maybe something happened in the past and you just don't feel comfortable with it. So yeah, if you are comfortable with it, I think you have to do your part and help hire.
Also, at least for She Is the Music. I think they put like they have like the blog on the front page or something, and they added me. Even from there, like they can reach me out. People can reach out on via email, and I've gotten a lot of like email responses saying like, hey, like even like mixing requests, but also asking for advice and how can I get in more studios and stuff like that. That organizations like that showcase not only how much opportunity is needed in the music industry for females and non-binary individuals, but also how many females and non-binary people are out there willing to take on these jobs and opportunities. So there is, if you're a studio manager and you're looking for more females in the industry, there is a lot, and a lot of these. She Is the Music, moving. She moves the noodle.
We are moving the noodle.
She moves the needle.
No, yeah, She Is Music. They have a whole database. So does We Are Moving the Needle, Women's Audio Mission. Right. There's Sound Girls also has a job board.
Yes.
And also a directory where you can find mixing engineers, recording engineers, managers, choreographers, like anything. So the opportunity is there. So go on there.
Yeah, if you're a studio owner, you could probably even put your send them an email and be like, I'm looking for engineers in my local area. Can you put this job listing on your site?
Yeah, on your job board.
I am pretty sure they will find you, or you will be contacted by like professional engineers who are willing to put in the work.
Yeah, one of the assistants at a studio I've recorded at recently, I asked, I was excited to see her because, it's always exciting when we see one another. I was like, oh, how'd you get the job? And she said that the studio manager posted within the Sound Girls job board or the Facebook group or something like that. So they
Even the Facebook group. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So something like that, something so small helps place people in the studio, and then that representation matters because now we feel more comfortable. There's more than one one of us, and then just like I was saying, I was excited when I saw her, and I was able to connect and just learn more about other individuals that are out there. Another thing you mentioned was being on the homepage of She Is Music and how that's helped. So recognition, give recognition to producers, engineers, songwriters that are in the industry. A lot of the time we highlight the same few engineers. We cycle through them. We ask them the same thing. What are your favorite plugins? What's your workflow? How do you get work? But we hear it from the same few individuals, and we don't reach out to people, to women that have just as amazing credits, probably some of the craziest stories and clients that we can think of, but people don't ask them.
Yeah. And
I'm not sure why. I don't know why we keep asking the same few individuals what their, vocal template is when we can be asking, hey, Gina Johnson, what was it like recording Chris Stapleton? What was the process? There's so many amazing engineers out there, and we just don't reach out and we don't ask them.
Even if they don't have huge ass credits, maybe working with Beyonce or anything like that, they probably have more than 5 to 6 to 8 years working in the industry. So if, I don't know, maybe there's a school panel and they want to invite a bunch of engineers or producers who've been in the industry, that's a perfect group to bring in, because they're talking about real world opportunities and just stories. You don't have to call in the big Mannies, and I mean they're dope to hear from, but there's so many stories on YouTube about them that you're already know their history.
Yeah.
So there has to be more recognition with the female community and the non-binary community as well, because they had their time in the music industry.
Yeah, it is hard because I know people certain brands and companies, they want to get the heavy hitters that have those Beyonce credits, but what we don't understand is that women don't have a lot of those heavy hitter credits, because we're just now really like fighting for our spaces.
Right.
We've been in them for a long time for sure, but we've never been given the recognition like
Right.
that, and it's just not as common. So that's
Right.
why we're working our way through, but it's still a work in progress, and we have to like, okay, is it going to be beneficial to ask the same, engineer this question, or can I give a platform to someone else?
Right.
So that's important. Recommending people.
Recommending has taken me into a lot of spaces too. Other engineer friends who are male have recommended me in a lot of spaces. I've gotten a lot of gigs through that. Even other females as well, when they can't make a session, or maybe they're too busy and they can't work on a mix, they recommend another female engineer. In the studio, if I know other engineers that are female and I'm able to have them as an assistant, in my world, I definitely call a female engineer, just because I know so many that don't have the opportunity to be in these rooms. So I rather trust someone who I know and is a female to have that opportunity, and then that story to tell as an experience later on. Yeah.
Yeah, all of my work has been, not all of it, but like I'll say like 90% of my work has been from word of mouth recommendations.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you should work with Crystal. And I'm always like super grateful for that, because I mean, it's just like, that's how I move forward. It's the biggest stamp of approval when you get those recommendations from other engineers. No matter if you're, male or female, recommending people always helps get the job. But if you can recommend a woman or a gender expansive individual, then you're helping diversify the field, you're being inclusive, and it's helping us kind of just get through the door.
Right. A little every day.
Yes.
Helps a lot over the years.
Yes. I was going to say something else on that, but I forgot, so we can move forward and I'll come back to it.
Studio managers, how they can include more females and non-binary. I mean, if they have I don't know how nowadays they hire engineers. I guess word of mouth, but I think, like we said before, if you put in your ad, not on LinkedIn, not on like entertainment.com or anything, even though that those are the go-to sites, I think you'd find your better chance of getting a dope ass engineer is like going through like organizations like Wham and She's Music and
those Facebook groups I was talking about.
Yes, Facebook groups. Even Reddit sometimes like has like it's the small blogs,
Shoot, even Instagram or Twitter. Half of the job posts I see are on Instagram or Twitter.
Right.
I got my job working from Alex from Twitter.
Okay.
And someone actually, I didn't have Twitter. They screenshotted it and then sent it to me, and that's how I found out. So it's just like when you're looking to hire, I think you just have to be a little bit more mindful.
Right.
So if you notice that maybe all the applications you got were men, maybe before you start actually interviews, maybe you can start reaching out to other engineers. Hey, do you know any women? Can you recommend any women to me?
Right.
Make a post like, hey, I want to interview some, other individuals. Can anyone recommend them to me?
I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of people spend more time on their Instagram and Facebook. So I'm pretty sure you can like find a dope ass engineer through a DMM or something than like trying to read like an email with like a resume and like have no picture, no way how they look.
Yeah.
Don't know if their resume is real or not, Yeah. So through studio managers, they have the upper hand to give a lot of females an opportunity to expand their career, whether they're going to be there as a runner, intern, 2 years, 3 years as an engineer. Like that's experience there that can take you really far. And then you look good and then your studio looks great because they see you hiring different types of people, and obviously you create a comfortable space.
Yeah. That's important. Don't just do it and then make sure that the space is like not very welcoming. So like if you're gonna do it, make sure it is the right environment. And if it's not, maybe you should kind of question what's wrong with your studio, because if you're not having them on your team, you still have clients that are women, and you want them to feel comfortable. So it's a good moment for you to look back as a manager, as a business person, and see what you could be doing better.
Yes.
Mentorship.
Oh, okay. I know you have a big mentorship program.
Yeah, I mean, I try to mentor people, not just women, but I think I tend to gravitate towards women, obviously, because I have that experience, that shared experience. But it's important to mentor because we just don't have. I wish I had like a mentor that was women. I really do. I feel like there was so many moments where I could have used one and I didn't have that. And it's hard. Mm-hmm. So if you are able to provide mentorship, even if it's just like, I'm not saying like, what's my experience being a woman, like just mentorship on like, hey, what's my recording template? Like, is it bad? Like, how does my mix sound? Sometimes, like, I know for me, I'm shy. Mm-hmm. I didn't speak up in class. Even as an intern, when I first started, I was like too shy to ask questions. And, I don't know why I have those certain tendencies, but like with individuals like that, if we have someone we feel comfortable with where we can ask them questions, and now we're helping them kind of move up, and we're helping provide opportunity by giving that one-on-one like experience, help.
Yeah. I don't have a mentorship program, which one day I hope to do, but in the way of a mentor, sometimes when I have like a session and I know there's going to be an assistant engineer, if she's a female engineer or non-binary individual, I tend to be like, can you sit in the session as my assistant? Because most of the time when you go to these big studios, a lot of assistants like just pop in and out, They either can't be in the room for too long, or they're told not to be in the room unless the engineer or artist wants to. If I have the option, which most of the time I do, I let them know like, hey, you can sit in, mm-hmm. Assist me. If you have any questions, I can answer them for you. That's the closest to what I can do during a session. Other than that, if I ever need a mixing assistant or an assistant engineer, I think I'm going to be looking out for a female assistant. Someone just to give somebody an opportunity,
Yeah. I think it's important to speak on because, like, so did you see that list that Jaxta put out of, like, the 50 I think they called it, like, the most successful, like, engineers of 2022. I wouldn't use, like, the most successful. They were, like, mm-hmm. basically the most busy, the busiest. Yeah. They got booked the most. They had the most credits, right? And out of the 50 mixing engineers, there was one woman, and I believe she is an assistant as well.
Yeah.
But, like, if you just, like, look at that, right? Like, that's no one's hiring, like, women. But also, like, we have to consider those engineers, like, okay, if there's 50 mixing engineers that are that busy, like, how are they mentoring? How are they passing the torch along? Yeah. Are they having women on their team? And a lot of them do, which is great. But now how can we get past that? How can we push them to be included on this list as well, and not just be, like, in the back, We want to recognize, we want to provide them opportunities, right. Help them be better than like their mentor. I feel like that's like sometimes what gets lost too is like, well, I hire an assistant, so I do my part.
And then it's like 3 years go by, like, and she's not there anymore,
Yeah.
Nah, just having that inclusivity, like, every year, should be a goal. At least at Spotify, I just worked with like 2 assistant engineers, and then I met a lot of people who are like in IT, and like they were all female workers, and it's crazy. It almost feels weird to be in a room with like a lot of females, or in a company with a lot of female employees, you know, because it's not weird in a bad way. It just feels like, wow, like Spotify might be moving the needle themselves. Mm-hmm. They're the ones taking care of hiring more females in the industry. And I think that's really cool. And it makes you feel like you're in a dope ass environment. Mm-hmm. So I know they're a huge company, but I mean, they're doing something about it, you know? So it'd be cool if like, I don't know, like Rock Nation or like labels like that, or even indie labels, or your neighborhood studio hires more female engineers or female graphic designers or female videographers. That would be really dope, because I feel like that can push the opportunity for females, you know. But yeah, mentorship, there's just a lot of ways to just include them.
Yeah, so I am very outspoken about this, about including women, about hiring women, about not just, you know, saying we're gonna be more inclusive and not actually do it. And there's always like one person that has to be like a freaking boohoo, like, you know. And this is like for the like, oh, if you guys wanted to be in there, then you guys just gonna be more talented, or you should be more confident, which is what someone once told me. Or like, why is it?
So someone asked, I said, I went to this like mixer, and they were like, this big ass mixer was like showcasing like the new plugin coming out, whatever. And then I was like, this was like very young in my career. I was still in college, and I asked the question, because they're like, does anybody have any questions? And I was like, yeah, I do. So I was like, what advice would you give for upcoming female engineers? And then the guy's like, just don't wear tight pants in the studio. And I was just like,
that's so terrible.
I was like, oh, okay, thank you. And then some people in the I guess, because it was like probably like 50 people in there, 80, I don't know how much, but it was a pretty big name guy. And I was just like, oh, okay. And I sat back down. I felt like shit. And then some people laughed, you know, and then some people didn't laugh.
Yeah, it's so awkward.
And I was just like, what the fuck? And then I guess later on, when everybody kind of broke off and started mingling or whatever, some dudes came up to me and they were like, hey, sorry you had to hear that. That sounds stupid. Like, that's the worst advice you can give to any individual. And he's like, I'm a studio owner, and I always try to hire women engineers, and just don't let that, like, whatever he said, just ignore it, blah, 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 this and that. And then, but that kind of got stuck in my head for, like, the rest of my career. Yeah. You know, because I was just like, don't wear tight pants. Who the fuck?
Yeah. But those moments, that's why it's important when I'm like talking about who you have on your staff, like really like know who you have on your staff, because they're going to make comments like that, and that really like affects us. I remember, I'll never forget, I had a professor, I asked a question about compression, and I was in college. I didn't really like understand it yet. And they were like, okay, well, just like, I'll use like makeup to explain it to you, so like your eyeshadow and your eyeliner, you know. And I was like, I like did not wear any makeup. Like, I still very rarely do anything past
you knew more about compression EQing than makeup. Yeah, at that point.
I was just like, what? Why would you? And if I just felt so singled out, I was like, no, why can't you just explain what an attack is again? Because I like was a little confused, but instead it was like, one, you made me like feel really dumb, and your example was even dumber. So like those little things stick out. I know like there's so many instances like that where it's just like, why?
Yeah, that's why ever since that day, I never ever asked a dude what kind of advice.
I should have done that, because I did that recently, and I wasn't looking for advice for myself. I was more so, I don't want to give too much, but I was like more so trying to make a point that there wasn't enough featured women on this one website. And the advice that was given back was because women aren't as confident, which is like, huh? It has nothing to do with that.
With confidence.
Yeah. It's that doesn't like hold me back in my career as my confidence. I definitely know I'm talented. You know what I mean? There's like so little. I remember I was interviewing for an internship at a studio, and I got asked like 3 times during my interview, like, are you sure you don't want to be a receptionist? Are you sure you just don't want to be a receptionist? I was like, no, I'm here to interview to be an engineer. Like, and I had to keep saying that. And they're like, oh, well, we love pretty receptionists. You'd be perfect. And I'm like, 1, that's gross.
Yeah.
And 2, like, no, I'm not here to do that. If you look at my resume, I'm very qualified to be an engineer. So anyways, we're not sharing all our soft stories. We're just saying that it's important to talk about because people think it's just like, well, if you are talented, then you'll be in the door. Or if you have the skills, that's all you need. And it's just not true. It's not true at all. It's not the way the industry is currently like set up, and it's just unfortunately the way it is. So it is important to talk about. And I always get those people that comment like, oh, this is so stupid. If it was just about the music or about your talents, then we wouldn't have to. I don't know why I'm making this voice, but that's what I imagine all these like internet trolls sounding like it's just, no, it is really important to talk about because when a lot of time we feel hella alone because there's not a lot of us. So like just sharing experiences and sharing like, hey, sometimes I've gone through uncomfortable things too. It makes other people feel like, okay, it wasn't my fault. Sometimes I think it's my fault. Like, oh, I felt stupid for asking the question. It's like, no, you shouldn't have felt stupid. The other person was dumb for saying that. So it is important to talk about. And for those that listen to the full episode, because I'm sure there's an individual that would like saw the title and was like, I don't really care to listen to this. This doesn't affect me.
It's not for me.
No. For those that actually listen to the full episode, thank you because you are already doing your part. You show interest in helping being more inclusive.
Right.
And just being a listener to our podcast in itself, that shows that you definitely care about, recognizing talented engineers like ourselves.
Yes.
And, just making space for us because a lot of time we have to make our own seat at the table, and this is what we're doing. And you can make the process a lot easier, whether, you're hiring, whether you are a producer, an engineer, an artist, there's a lot you can do to help. So,
True. I guess lastly, we want to talk about like being females being like in a community together. I know lately there has been a lot of like songwriting workshops for all female engineers or all non-binary or all LGBT, which is pretty dope. I feel like they should happen more. And even like these organizations who are nonprofit can fund that to make that possible, especially big studios like Conway and Capitol. Like all they have to do is say the word, and I'm pretty sure one organization would be like, oh, we'll help fund it. Like, we'll come to your studio if you let us use it, and we'll bring a bunch of songwriters and producers and make this like a dope ass female showcase and opportunity. And I just feel like there could be a lot of people involved that can help that those songs or people get placed, in movies or whatever. I think just more of that can be really dope, whether it's in big studios or small studios. And also even within your community, like I know we know a lot of female engineers and producers, so we try to like at least make some type of like meetup or mixer for all to like just kind of spend a couple hours together and just talk, because you never know, maybe one of us can't make it to a gig or can't do a certain mix, and if we know more females within our group, we're easy to just hand that off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, some more events just like focused on bringing that community together. would definitely be a goal. I know we try to do that. I know people in our community try to do that. And if you have a space and you are interested in doing that, reach out to anyone in your local community that could help put that together for you, because it is valuable to have those like moments.
Plus, your studio can gain like exposure just for you like doing the simplest community event that can like give opportunities to females. Yep.
Yeah. So I feel like that's all I have to say positively about that. If I wanted to do a whole.
Oh, we could keep going on forever. I mean, I guess to say, in the end, like even if you're like an engineer at home and you mix from home and just find your local female engineer online and start following them, not on some creepy shit, obviously, but like just know who's dope around you too.
Yeah.
You know
what? It does have to be said. Please, what's up, queen? I really like your engineering. Like, sup, sister? Like, whatever it is, like, just, it's professional, right? Let's keep it professional. That's my little PSA. Let's not do that anymore, please.
What's up, queen?
I get that a lot.
Yeah?
Yeah. And it'll be like to work, but like now I don't want to work with you because I like, I'm sure it's endearing, but like if you can't just call me by my professional name.
Yeah.
Not even my professional name, just my name. I already feel like you're not going to take the work seriously.
Right. Yeah.
Little PSA there. But yeah, I think this was great. I really hope everyone could benefit from this. We try to make it like really inclusive, and we're mindful that it's not just women. We have many individuals that are also trying to be a part of this community, and we hope that in the future it's not super male dominated. We hope to see, maybe a Jackson list next year with like at least one more woman than one,
That would be fucking tight.
Yeah. So like, let's start making it a goal for everybody.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm going to go home and cry. This was so sweet.
Well, happy Women's Month.
Yes.
Do your part. Triple times this month, because you should be doing it every month, right?
Yes.
But if you didn't do it last month, it's your month.
Exactly. And yeah, thank you for listening and supporting us. I am Crystal Jerez, and I'm on Instagram, Crystal Jerez.
That's it, Crystal Jerez?
Yeah, that's just, I think so.
The pimp. Nah, just kidding.
Nah, just Crystal Jerez. And check out our website, True Peak Hour. You can reach out to us for mixed consultations as well. And we also have some free resources on our website that you can download. So that's available. And Jenny's on Instagram as well.
Yes, I'm on Instagram as jny.mixedit. Yeah, even for our consultations, you reach out.
Yeah.
If you want to spend like an hour talking or something.
Yeah.
about the same topic.
Yeah, and if you have any questions about this topic in particular, don't hesitate to reach out.
Right. If you're like, I really don't get it, can you please explain me? Yeah, we'll explain it. Just DM us.
Yeah, cool. So thank you, and stay tuned for our next episode.
Bye.